So the development of Hello Neighbor 3 is going great.
I'd say great. There's a lot of like new stuff for me in the sense that right now I believe I have more freedom than I had before.
O youtuber Mega fez uma entrevista com o criador do Hello Neighbor, Nikita, que também é o game designer, revelou muita parada nova, muita informação nova e até informação da história. Sério, eu tentei resumir o máximo que eu pude porque a entrevista tem 4 horas de duração. A história original, ideia das antigas alfas e até main the hat. É tanta coisa que eu vou separar em tópicos, não aparece na timeline, veja na descrição.
I feel like it's always the honesty must be there, and I also always thought that it's better to first try the things before promising them. Yeah, that's the word. Promise.
O que o Nikita comenta aqui é que nem tudo no desenvolvimento é uma certeza. É por isso que o Nikita fala que prometer não é legal e a palavra certa seria estamos tentando fazer algo ou tal coisa.
It's just generally good practice just to not say stuff you're not yet sure you would be able to deliver. As we develop, I never say this would be or like that would be. I try to say we're trying to do this or we're targeting to do that, and because we're not sure yet.
Papo vai, papo vem e o Mega comenta sobre as caixas do Hello Neighbor 1 e o Nikita solta isso aqui.
Because like the original storyline was about character, like main character who got in a car crash and everything happens is like devil trying to lure him into like, hell. And that's why like, there was a lot of boxes initially because it was some sort of like reminiscing of moving somewhere else.
Isso basicamente confirma muita teoria que a comunidade fez. Muito foda. Uma sentença muito legal do Nikita é que ele explica como seria a ideia original do jogo e como o objetivo de abrir a porta nem seria algo para finalizar o jogo.
Like, okay, that's weird. That's and what was this door? Like boarded up door, why it was never like used in a game, and then you try to replay the game, and the opening this door will require a lot of work and playing with AI and do stuff, and then the game starts actually. That's how it was like on paper, for like first idea, and then like 15 or whatever, like 10 hours of the like real game is you trying to open this door. And the thing is it's not like a linear point and click adventure. It's supposed to be like sandbox when you have to like figure out how you go there and go into this part of the home and just try to find this thing just to open it. It was that was how it was initially, but then it was a little bit niche and probably I'm not sure. I still think that it's something that I want to do sometimes, like just make a one game, which is great on its own, but actually there is like a whole game behind it, which is secretly hidden within a smaller game.
Sobre as decisões da lore, do filme, dos jogos e do cartoon, Nikita comenta que ele ajudava sim a fazer as histórias, porém não era ele que decidia se isso ia pra versão final. Ao contrário do Hello Neighbor 3, que ele vai decidir tudo.
A few times and he like shared some ideas and then I shared some like my ideas, what I think might work or what not. And again, like the last word is not mine, of course, there. But in some instances, like we discuss what it might be. For example, like with Hello Neighbor 3, I have complete freedom of like whatever story I can come up with, which is nice. That's what I'm currently doing.
E foi até por isso que a história original do Hello Neighbor mudou, e Nikita comenta outra versão da história.
Initially, it was the story about like parenting and stuff, and if you could see like a lot of stuff that I do is about like personal, psychological, whatever stuff, and the Hello Neighbor was about the parenting. And initially, like neighbor was your parent, and you was traumatized by the neighbor, but like by your parent, and that's why in some of the alphas you go in the car and you go like into the house of the neighbor. I believe it was like Alpha 2.
It was, yes, like, Alpha 2.
Sério, uma das perguntas que eu mais estava esperando é por que mudaram a art style. E eu confesso que eu não esperava, mas isso foi completamente decisão do Nikita, não da Tiny Build como todo mundo comentava. Isso foi feito para deixar a arte do jogo mais refinado, como ele fala, e transformar em algo mais concreto, porque a versão antiga soava como acesso da Unreal Engine.
And after that, the art style became like, you look at the screenshot and you see that everything is just in the same style. Because before that it was half realistic, half weird. It wasn't like bad, but it wasn't how do I say it, refined or something. It wasn't like in the same style. It was just a bunch of random. It almost looked like it's a random assets from asset store, but just it was made by us internally. So maybe it was. I know that a lot of people liked the old.
Mega pergunta o que aconteceu com a IA do Hello Neighbor, e o que aconteceu é que o programador original das alfas, que fazia IA, ele saiu do desenvolvimento, e no ato de substituir ele, tiveram que refazer a IA inteira novamente. E como era apenas um programador, ele não conseguiu terminar 100% a tempo.
And that's why at some point the AI was all like different, because it was practically rewritten from scratch. It was like only some parts of it, and since it was written from scratch, he wasn't able to like finish whole thing as it like supposed, even though we had a lot of time, but still there was like still the only programmer working on the whole game.
Uma parte não tão importante, mas eu gostaria de colocar nesse vídeo essa pergunta que o Mega faz pra ele.
What would you want to change about Hello Neighbor 1 if you could go back? What would be the one thing you would change?
Focus more on AI and less on platforming.
Em uma das partes dessa entrevista, o Mega mostra concept art de como seria a casa do Alpha 1. Não achei tão interessante de colocar aqui, mas o Nikita fala mais coisas sobre a história nessa sentença.
Since it was still story about the character being like moments like a near-death experience, and that's why it was so surreal. Like there was like grave on the first floor. And there's like classroom and stuff that it's like player have this the character have this roller coaster of memories and experiences that they had in life.
Uma das últimas coisas da entrevista sobre Hello Neighbor 1 é que até a IA poderia usar itens contra você.
And that's why we wanted to like show this idea that you can use every item in the game. And initially it was the AI can use them, you can use them, and in the final game you can like, even though every object is like physical, there's not much stuff you can do with them, but initial idea, and that's what we're trying to do with Hello Neighbor 3.
Ok, agora acabou a sessão de Hello Neighbor 1. Eu confesso que eu tentei pegar só as coisas interessantes, mas essa sessão é gigante, cara. Eu recomendo você ver a entrevista completa, porque muita coisa até tá se misturando. Tem informações de Hello Neighbor 1, 2 e 3, uma interligada na outra, então não tá exatamente separado. Ok, vamos partir pro Hello Neighbor 2.
I cannot say a lot because some parts of the story, it's like not that they will be reused, but still. But the neighbor was supposed to be the like the guest. That's why we had this like guest neighbor with and he was hiding in a park with his son because they escaped after Nikki ran away. And this is like one part. And the other part is that there was this like meteo station, like weather station, and it was like inside abandoned park, and it was also abandoned, but no one knew where is it. But this guy, like Hetman, he bought this abandoned park, and he wanted to find this meteo station, but I don't believe. I think he either hired Beatrix and Quentin just to protect from vandals because they like ruining park, but he needed this weather station to find it, or he wanted to guards to find it, eventually, but because he was like scared of the guest or something. I don't, but it's something along those lines. But it's all I can say about this.
Deixando claro que isso aqui era só a ideia do Hello Guy. Quando virou Hello Neighbor 2, também mudou a história. E aqui o Nikita comenta que as alfas do Hello Neighbor 2 era daquele jeito, meio sinistro até demais, porque o Quentin via a cidade de uma forma fictícia.
Thing is that at that time the story was that the Quentin, he's like journalist and he like chasing this like fictional stuff instead of like real ones. And in his head, he basically goes into some sort of like twisted version of Raven Brooks, where the neighbor is this like house of the neighbor, which is like a local sensation, is actually like occupied by the guest. And like in his head, and the idea was initially there was like two Raven Brooks, in the like the real ones and the fictional ones, and the Quentin goes into fictional one, trying to solve stuff there, and then also can go into like real one to solve, and then in the end had to choose like to apply like the real data as like a material for like newspaper or something, or like fictional stuff. And it was like arc for the character to just starting to like look for real stuff rather than living in like fantasy world. But there was like different. It was slightly changed over time into different story about the neighbor. Like the child, like this crow neighbor was like the crow child was the neighbor. And these kids was like neighbors' friends initially, and they somehow like died in the accident on like weather station due to neighbor's fault, and it was like something that he was kind of tormented by, and it was something like that, and that's why he's like locked up because it was door of the meteo station. An attic, and he's supposed to like open it to let the children in. It was like some sort of like a weather thing. It was like a hurricane or something, but he was scared and they died. And it's like something like, I don't remember exactly the whole story, but it was something along those lines. That's why there's the kids said they trick-or-treating because they disappeared, and that's why there was. When the guest catches them, the guest represents this like weather thing. That's why it asks like how's the weather in the end of this Alpha 1.5.
Oh.
It was this whole thing, and that's why there's like paper on the car of the Quentin. It says like the missing and the like children's like images because it's. Basically, and that's why Quentin wakes up, or like not wakes up because he turns off a computer and they like checks the time because it's basically he was researching what happened and was so invested in it that's he basically kind of transported into his like mental picture. And this is how like a guest world. It's basically like Quentin's way of figuring stuff out, and that's why when like everything was resolved, he kind of turned off computer because what you played with Alpha 1.5 it was basically in his head, and he's like, oh, it's a lot of time, it's like late at night, and there was like a knocking on the door, like how's the weather, because yeah, it's like, is it guest or is it the neighbor or is it man in the hat or whatever, because man in the hat was having like different role, but I already don't remember, it was so much and we changed stories so many times.
Se você não entendeu nada, não se preocupe, porque o Nikita usa muita metáfora e grande parte tem um tom muito filosófico. Bem, eu confesso que eu gosto muito do Man in the Hat e o Nikita fala sobre ele aqui.
No, he was something else. I don't remember exactly, but maybe I'm forgetting something, but he was... I don't think he was detective. Maybe I'm missing something, but he was like collecting information on stuff, but I don't remember why. That's why he was always like looking and like writing down something, but I don't think he was detective.
E o Mega faz outra pergunta que é sobre o Fake Neighbor, que é um modelo que estava dentro dos arquivos do Hello Neighbor 2.
I don't exactly remember. I believe it's somehow tied into like Man in the Head, because I believe it's him like portraying the neighbor or something. There was like multiple ideas for like in this weird weird world. There's like a weird fake neighbor, but I don't remember all the options. At some point, it was like Man in a Hat wearing this costume, but frankly, I don't remember this whole. It was like, no, I don't, I don't remember.
Bom, agora finalizando a sessão do Hello Neighbor 2, vamos passar pro Hello Neighbor 3 agora. Mega pergunta se no Hello Neighbor 3 vai ter algum tipo de violência.
I don't think so. No, probably not. 99% that's it.
E pra ser sincero, eu acho muito desnecessário ter violência no Hello Neighbor. Ele já é legal do jeito que é.
Will you be taking a break after Hello Neighbor 3?
Wow, I wish. We'll see. First, we need to make a game, but it's. We'll see.
Eu não sei se vocês lembram, mas eu havia comentado que essa figura aqui no canto, a gente teorizou que poderia ser o Guest. E Nikita confirma que, não é ele. Porém, ele fala que, na verdade, é esse cara do banner. E o Mega fala, não parece, não parece tanto.
Same person who was standing in the door frame. But I cannot say who is this. Yeah.
It was the same person, but this time he had gloves and he was shorter. That's interesting.
Maybe it's just seems like this character has like only one glove.
Cara, outro personagem com uma luva só. Por que eu acho isso tão foda?
I really wish that we will be able to pull this off like 20 characters or something. But I don't know. It would be nice to have at least, I don't know, 15 characters. That would be great. But we'll see.
At least 15.
Tá, 20 personagens parece meio surreal, mas parece que, entre aspas, a programação vai ser um pouco mais simples. Como Nikita fala, ele só vai precisar ajustar alguns parâmetros de como o NPC vai reagir em certas situações.
In Prototype, like Jakob is scared of you if he sees you, but the like Iris is like neutral to you because she's like okay, but then she can protect Jakob. But Vandal sees you and he will attack you. Just no matter where are you, and it's not like specific. This logic not specifically created for this instance. They just have like certain parameters, and we just can tweak them, which then changes how they act.
Mega pergunta se algumas mecânicas do Herbel vai voltar no Hello Neighbor 3.
And the ability to just hide inside the cardboard box. It will return, but it's going to be the next prototype, not the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like we already implemented it, but not in the first place.
Mega pergunta o significado da logo do Hello Neighbor 3, e pro que o Nikita vai falar aqui agora, eu preciso dar um pouco de contexto. Nikita menciona que haverá um timer para acontecer os eventos do jogo, e que esses eventos acontecem até mesmo sem o jogador ver. A mecânica do Hello Neighbor 3 será baseada também em como o jogador afeta certos acontecimentos do game, como um efeito borboleta, nesse timer que ele menciona. Isso basicamente explica o que estava escrito na página da Steam do game, que estava escrito cidade simulada em tempo real.
And one of which is more like on the surface, and what people also I've seen picked out is that it represents basically like three concept of the game is like butterfly effect, like butterfly effect, which means when you change stuff, it just kind of unravels into different thing. And the rabbit is for the rabbit hole because there's a lot of like mysteries and stuff that you can unravel, like when the game would be like bigger, not in the prototype itself. And the rabbit here is like to represent this rabbit hole, like you kind of diving into this world just to. And the Ouroboros is for like represents this cycle, because in our head that the game basically like you have this time frame. For a prototype, it's like 10 minutes or so. For a final game, it would be like some hours that you basically kind of replaying and learning how stuff work, because a game is not like in a straight line that you just have content like stacked up and you just follow it, because it's like more like a sandbox which you just return, and it gives you more understanding, which you can do more and more and more and more stuff and understand more. Basically, you kind of return through this cycle.
O fato de ter muito carro nas fotos do Hello Neighbor 3 fez o Mega perguntar se vai ter uma mecânica de dirigir carros.
Yeah, we really hope, but not sure. It makes like it's really complex.
Nikita fala que é complexo, até porque isso aumentaria a restrição de idade do Hello Neighbor 3. Porque provavelmente com um carro você poderia atropelar as pessoas. Eu sei que vocês não vão acreditar, mas eu fiquei exatas 10 horas editando. E ficou bem simples, eu tentei resumir o máximo que eu pude. Eu tô cansado, eu não vou cortar tanta coisa. Obrigado por assistir. Eu botei algumas anotações de coisas pequenas que eu não tinha nem como comentar e colocar aqui seria desnecessário na descrição do vídeo. Tem pequenas coisas. Enfim, eu tô cansado.